Renee, what's going on?
Today I'm calling. I need help in navigating the relationship between myself and my 17-year-old daughter.
Okay.
So I'll give you a little bit of background. So I met my wife back in 2010, and she was 7-year-old at the time from a previous relationship my wife had where the dad was never really involved.
Okay.
And they were both living with my mother-in-law, and pretty much that's all my daughter knew. So they were pretty close. My wife and I dated and got married the following year, and I adopted her. You know, it wasn't a question of if I was or I wasn't.
Hey, Renee, can I stop you right there?
Sure.
You're a stud, dude.
Thank you.
I just want to stop and acknowledge that I'm grateful for you, that men like you are out there and willing to not only fall in love and get married, but is going to take that next step and make this 7-year-old, this 8-year-old a part of a full family. Kudos to you, brother. That's awesome. All right, continue.
All right, so I'm in the military, and shortly after we got married in 2011, we received orders to move overseas. And pretty much when we did this, we left my mother-in-law in California.
Okay.
During our first year there, we had a baby. And during this time, my mother-in-law, who had depression for a while, passed away due to lung cancer. And my daughter and my mother-in-law were extremely close. They were best friends. So it really took a toll on her.
Yeah.
During this time, obviously, you know, moving, adjusting to a new sibling, she also had kind of feelings that she didn't fit in at school.
Sure.
The reason I say this is because she's a mixed kid. My wife's white, I'm Mexican, and my daughter is half black.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm pretty sure you've dealt with stuff like this. You know, she's not going to be accepted by the white kids. And sometimes, you know, she was struggling because she wasn't black enough to be with the black kids, from what my daughter would tell me, you know?
Absolutely. And was she in a Dodd school overseas?
Correct.
Okay.
So we saw a family therapist for about 2.5 years with not a lot of change. You know, everyone she saw, she didn't really like. She didn't really try to open up to them, you know? And I figured that was the case because, you know, all this stuff will put a lot of pressure on her. But essentially, from what me and my wife got, it was she kind of got the role of me against the world.
Yep.
From what we feel, and she didn't really get over it. So we moved back to, or we got stationed in El Paso about 4 years ago.
Okay.
And our relationship has had its ups and downs, you know, from really highs to really lows. My wife and I have been trying to show her we love her, but sometimes it seems like it's never enough.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, hey, if it's something that we agree with her or that's fun with her, she loves it. You know, we're the best parents in the world. But if we don't agree with her, or if there's other stuff, you know, taking time away from, you know, not the spotlight on her, but just spending time with her, she says that, you know, she's not loved and she's alone.
Okay.
And for the past couple of years, we've been trying to prepare her since she got into high school. Like, hey, prepare her for adulthood. And, you know, it's been tough, to say the least.
Right.
She is a great kid. She gets good grades. She's very, very considerate and loves her siblings. So now we just got baby number 4.
Whoa.
Yes.
So baby number 4 in addition to her, so you've got 5?
No, so she's the new baby's baby number 4.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, so she's just never been a kid that takes a lot of initiative and stuff like that, even if it's for her benefit.
Sure.
Sometimes it's like pulling teeth, but I'm assuming that's likely with all teenagers. She has this dream of attending a 4-year state college, become a psychologist, stuff like that. But we just started following Dave Ramsey a couple of years ago. My wife turned me on to it, and you know, we're getting there. But that for her, that means that we're not going to be able to financially help her a whole lot.
Sure.
So with some of this stuff, each thing that we've been trying to do it's kind of met with resistance.
Sure.
And right now, our relationship, it's probably the worst it's ever been. You know, she's kind of gaining a voice, 17. You know, she knows she wants to move out of the house when she's 18 and go to college. It's just one of those things that just because we love her, I don't want to lie to her or send her on the wrong path.
Right.
So we don't see eye to eye very much on a lot of her decisions. And right now I'm pretty physically and mentally drained. I don't want to fight with her, but I also don't want to stop being her parent and do things that benefit her,
Absolutely.
I want to focus instead of building our relationship, obviously.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that right now I just feel I can't reason with emotions sometimes. And some of the views she has, especially with the cancel type of, mentality. So I think right now for the past month, it's, she's been ignoring me, stuff like that. And I don't know what to do.
Man, there's a lot there. So again, it's the second time I'm going to do this in the same call. I want to commend you for being a dad who loves his daughter and is trying to figure it out. And again, you're the noblest of the noble, my man. I thank you for your military service. I thank you for really plugging in and trying to get at the heart of what's gnawing at your daughter here. Tell me about her mom.
Mom, she had her when she was in high school, so teenage mom.
Okay.
My wife was kind of hanging around the wrong crowd, but when she got pregnant at 16, it kind of changed the world, for her. And she wanted to be more than what she was doing. She had a dream of being a nurse, and just kind of turned it around from there.
Very cool. And what's the relationship like between her mom and your daughter?
It's pretty much the same, because me and my wife are very tight-knit. It's kind of creepy because we're we see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. We're, pretty much type A personalities, like if there's something to get done, let's get it done, or just push ahead. Okay. And my daughter is complete opposite.
Okay. So I'm going to paint you a full picture and then give you a couple of strategies here, and then we can go from there. And I want to commit to staying in touch with you over the next year or two, all right, as you weather and navigate this, okay? So when somebody rattles off like you just did, teen mother, father left, was never in the picture, the cultural challenges of being a biracial kid raised by a third race, by a biracial couple, right, overseas on a military base, and then adding in new siblings, one after the other. That's a lot, right? And you know that, right? But when you put it all together in one picture, the root question that 17-year-old baby girl of yours is continuing to ask, and has been asking since she was old enough to ask questions, is, why did my daddy leave me? And that question cannot be answered with facts. It can only be answered with community and connection. And so in steps you, a man who has committed his life to loving this girl in a noble and extraordinary way. So good for you. You have to know that you are playing a long game here. Okay? And my guess is the next couple of years are going to be rocky, and she needs to see boundaries, and she needs to know you cannot ignore your parents in our home. You can't do that. You don't have permission to do that. You're going to be a person of character. You're going to talk to us when we ask you questions. And also, going to war with somebody who is still struggling isn't helpful either. And so here's a couple of things that are just coming to me on the top of my head, and you may have some examples. I'd love to hear from you. But what I want to do is set up a regularly scheduled engagement with you and her, and she's got to do this with her mom. Quite honestly, that's the relationship that needs healing. Deep down, she knows what a stud you are, okay? Your daughter knows, she's smart enough to know that you're a good man that came in and provided her and her mom a place to live and a stable home. And no matter what she says, right now she's being 17, she's testing boundaries, she is all over the place, and so on and so forth. But she knows you're good. The person she needs to deeply, deeply connect with is mom. And to your knowledge, have mom and her ever gone out and had the conversation about, here's who I was when I was 15 and 16. Here's some decisions I made. Has mom ever sat down and talked to her about her past and the heartache and how challenging it was?
Yes, she's sat down with her a couple of times throughout the years whenever she wants to find out more, either just kind of about her dad, her biological dad.
Okay.
And they've talked. It's kind of tough, obviously, especially for her, because I know it's hard for her.
Yeah.
But they have had those conversations.
Okay. So I want to make those types of conversations and more types of conversations. I want to make that sort of communication a regular practice in your home. And that might be once a week, you've got to go have lunch or breakfast or dinner or whatever with just one of us. And you and your wife can alternate. And you can tell your daughter no electronics. And you can sit there in silence and just stare at me. But I'm going to come up with a list of questions to check in on you and see how you're doing. And this might mean you are asking her what her 3 favorite music groups are. And you're going to have to like get a MMA mouthpiece and bite down on it and listen to those groups and tell them that you think they're like, these are awful, or I don't understand this song, help me with this. And what I'm asking you to do is to lean into her world a little bit. And what that is going to do is show her one key trait that she does not get, she's never been able to get, because this meant weakness and this meant somebody else is going to hurt her. And you're going to teach her vulnerability. And you're going to teach her not vulnerability doesn't mean you can run all over me. And vulnerability doesn't mean you don't have accountability. And vulnerability doesn't mean that you can just do whatever you want because you're 17 and I don't want to make you mad. And it doesn't mean that your 17-year-old is suddenly going to be like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to, that's not going to happen either. But you're teaching her a skill. You're teaching her a trait that is relationship looks like somebody doing something uncomfortable, even as little as, I'll listen to your music, but oh man. Or we're going to read a book together, or I'm going to watch whatever weird movie you want me to watch, but we're going to go to breakfast and we're going to talk about it. So these breakfasts are non-negotiable, right? You live in my house. This is going to be part of those. And she's 17, so she may be out in a year. So you don't have a ton of time. That's why usually I would say once a month, but you're running out of time. And so I would say every week. And offline, I would ask you and your wife to commit to listening more at these lunches, at these breakfasts, and talking less, giving less advice and leaning in more. Get to know your daughter. And I know that you already know her. I know that you've had some hard conversations before, but I want you to invest in letting her voice be heard, because here's what she's going to do. She's going to practice letting her voice be heard. And right now it feels like emotion. It feels like jumbled up mess inside that 17-year-old head. And she's dealing with all of this stuff, starting with my dad didn't even care enough about me to stick around. He didn't care enough to meet me. And I'm not African-American enough over here. I'm not white enough over here. Well, now I don't even speak the language because I'm overseas, or I'm just hanging out with a bunch of military brat kids. And now I'm back and I got 3 kids in the house. What in the world? I can't wait to just get out of here, right? Most of the time when a 17-year-old says, I just want to get out of here, they don't mean that. What they're saying is, I just want to belong. I want to matter. I want to have a role in this home. And right now, all of this pain, all of this confusion is too much for my 17-year-old mind. I just want to run. I just want to run. I just want to get out of here. And that's where you showing vulnerability, leaning into that baby girl, saying, this is what it looks like. It looks like paying for a meal. Everybody drops their shoulders. There's no mad. There's no frustrated. There's, all right, what's your 3 favorite groups? We're getting into this. Tell me some things about you that I don't know. What's the funniest thing that happened? Hey, I thought of 3 hilarious things that happened to me when I was a kid that I've never even shared with you. That looks like your wife being really, really vulnerable and telling her what her relationship with her mom and dad were like, and how she's trying so hard to be a different kind of mom. And what we're looking for is connection points out of vulnerability. Whew, that's a lot. And here's the thing. I said it earlier and I kind of blew over it. You are playing a long game now. 17, 18, if she packs up and moves out at 18 and she runs, she says, I'm out of here, she'll be back. Continue to love her. Continue to write letters to her so she can hold those letters and read them and see them and feel them. And she'll keep them. continue to hold your boundaries firm, but continue to let that girl know that she's loved. Renee, I want you to have that initial conversation, and I want you to have that first breakfast, that first lunch, and then I want you to call me back because I want to know how it went. And it may be a disaster. It may be awful, but it may be a tiny baby step in the right direction.